We're back.
Right, yeah, we're back here in sunny Perth, hey?
Yep.
How good is it?
Very good. Good to be home. Is Friday the 13th of September, episode number 13, and the season finale of season 2. We'll recap everything over the last couple of weeks and what we've been up to, and Paris as well. That's the whole point of what we're doing. But yeah, I think we've already kind of had a bit of a discussion yesterday, just chatting through some things, and we'll have a conversation later on after this with Shane, our coach, and kind of discuss more as well. But like from something we said from day one, the very first video that we did back in January was authenticity and vulnerability and just being open and honest. And I think today that is probably the best way to kind of carry this conversation forward and to kind of discuss our thoughts and feelings. And I think that's something that's quite important as well for just athletes in general and high performers and high achievers, to kind of just actually speak the truth and be honest about how things are feeling and how we're both handling the situation. Because again, even though we both experience the same thing, we both have different experiences within that and both have different feelings and stuff too, which is totally fine and totally normal, and I think is respectable as well, that we can have different experiences.
I think we'd be discrediting the experience if we didn't come on and speak with authenticity and our real experiences within the last couple of weeks, where there have been plenty of high moments and plenty of low moments as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's the thing too, is that we both discussed that as well when we were away. There was very, very much some very high moments. We're kind of like, we know the crash will come, will come at some point on the other side.
Boy, it does.
It does. It certainly does. But yeah, I don't know. We were kind of talking. We don't know how to start. Where to kind of start off, because
what are we going to talk about today? Like, we're joking, like as if there wasn't anything to talk about, but there's been so much that's gone on in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and we had to obviously take a bit of a forced hiatus with the media blackout as well. But hey, we're back. We're out of the media blackout. We can talk about everything to do with Paris. So yeah, I think we'll just lay it all out on the table and start from results, hey?
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, just to add to that too as well, like I said, we raced on the 1st of September, so it's been nearly 2 weeks. And I think, having a bit of time and separation between the result and us now is probably a good thing too, because as one of my old coaches said to me, don't post stuff when you're emotional. And I think to have a bit of time to be able to reflect, we may not feel the same things initially, but still be able to have a good conversation. Got a little friend coming in here.
A little doggo.
Hello. But yeah, definitely, I think we start off with don't piss on it. Oh, no. Just pissed on my thing.
This is the real scene. This is out in the real world.
This is legit. Nothing came out there, right? Just a little bit, mate. That's all right. No, good. I think we start with. I'm keeping the lead, by the way.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. One take. We start off with the result of Paris, the thing that we worked towards, the thing we mainly did. PB, national record, 1 minute 00.374, and 4th place. So, yeah, I think it's a great result, but 4th definitely stings a lot. It's not what we set out to do. We did set out to do a medal result, and we were capable of that, and we are capable of that, but on the day we just fell short, and that's the way that it went. And I think when we reflect on what we had to do to overcome to get to that point, I think we'd be proud of that, but it still doesn't take away the feeling of just, it's a hard position to kind of finish, because you're kind of off the podium, and your expectations are always high. At that point, everybody is always expecting, unless you win, everybody kind of wants more. Even if you're second place, you're not satisfied unless you get first. So I think from that perspective, you can kind of think, well, everyone else is probably feeling similar things. But yeah, it was just, I think I put a lot of pressure and stress on myself around the result, and just trying to get the most out of it for us, for you, for the team, back home, family, friends that came over and supported us. And to me, just coming 4th, I kind of just felt like I had fallen short of that and had let people down, which I know was not the case, but that's just how I felt in those moments. It's just taking a bit of time to kind of work through that as well. And I was in quite a state after that too. Like, I was quite emotional for a fair bit of time, and I actually don't know why I was so emotional. I guess it's because it meant so much to me, but did take me some time to kind of get over that as well. And but yeah, I think when we look at it from the other perspective of like what we had to overcome, and we now have the foresight to kind of reflect on the journey and some things that maybe, I wouldn't say hindered our performance or hindered our preparation, but definitely were roadblocks in the way that we were maybe being a bit more stoic about it and trying to be like play it off as like, no, that's fine, it's all good, like we'll get through everything, which we did in the end. But like I can't help but reflect on and be like, well, what if things had have gone a little bit differently this year for us? Would the result have been different? Would we have been different? But in saying that, we don't know, and we're never going to know. So it's kind of our jobs are kind of not ruminate on it and just accept it for what it is. And as time progresses and passes by, the good memories are the things that will last. And I think that's the most important thing to kind of take away from that.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, with the result, I've been reflecting a lot on the time trial itself and what a unique event it is, because like we go out there and execute on our processes, and it really it does, but it doesn't matter what the other bikes are going to go out there and do. And for me, like I'm proud of what we went out there and did and executed within our time trial. But then what impacts the result is what the other bikes go out there and do.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, like I didn't have an expectation for some of the bikes to go out there and ride some of the times that they did themselves. So it is for me, it's a real mixed emotion, because I'm proud of what we went out there and executed within our race, but then the final result of finishing fourth hurts as well. But that's just the nature of the event, isn't it? We weren't in a match sprint where we were beaten at the line. It's totally up to the execution of our processes and then the other bikes executing their processes as well.
Yeah, and the nature of what we do as well, like particularly in the time trial, it's who can beat the clock the best. It's not like you said, it's not the sprint, it's not racing, there's no tactics involved. It is, in the essence, a lot of sports are basically just who can beat the clock the best, who's the best at beating the clock. And we knew the capability of the two British bikes, we knew what they were going to be doing. The German bike was a bit of a question mark, weren't sure what they were going to do. I knew that they have been fast in the past and they are a quick bike. I didn't think they'd go that fast, but props to them. They showed up on the day and they did what was required. And, we went out there and we rode our best ride as well, that first ride, and went out and set a PB national record. But there was just so many question marks around that and unknowns, I guess, too, from us, that we weren't sure how we were going to back up and what was the other side of it was going to look like. And even coming into the comp, we weren't even sure what we were going to ride as well from a time perspective, just because it'd been a while since we've kind of hit those times and those speeds and those conditions.
Yeah, I mean, it was also our first time racing since December, which is huge, because obviously we weren't afforded that opportunity in March with the crash.
Yeah.
So coming into Paris, it was a bit of like, well, we've seen what we can do in training, but we haven't put it all together racing since December.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where that element of not anxiety, but like the unknown kind of sat over the whole event itself until we'd proven in qualifying that we could do what we did.
Yeah, definitely. And even like we discussed this a little bit yesterday too, was like just like the prep, and like we've discussed so many times around like evidence, like having self-belief and evidence-based self-belief, which comes from seeing what we do every single day in training, which is true. But then when we like in the moment, when we achieve, or we do the result, we kind of sit and reflect, and then the thoughts start to come in of like, what if only, or like what had have happened differently. And I think of our journey from last year to get to nationals, we were just on this continual progression of doing this, and I said it yesterday.
Yeah.
I would almost argue that I feel like our form was better at Worlds than what it was at the Games, which is kind of, it's not a hard pill to swallow, but it's probably just the reality of what it was because of the prep. And that's not from a physical standpoint. I think it's more from a psychological and a mental standpoint, because from December Nationals to Worlds, we just continued to do that too. So we didn't actually know what we were capable of doing in March at Worlds. So had we actually raced and got to put down a time, we'd have had more confirmation around the training we're doing is working. We would have gone probably faster, potentially would have medaled, the confidence that we would have taken from that to come back in and do the whole entire prep could have yielded a completely different result itself. But the fact that kind of it came literally crashing to a halt, and then we had to rebuild everything to kind of get back to where we were. And I think that's something we haven't really discussed much. As much as we've kind of pushed through those training sessions, and you can kind of see that in the videos, that the amount of sessions that we struggled, or I struggled as well, we're just steering the bike, being confident, just working through things as well, and kind of just playing it off as like, yeah, no, it's fine, we'll get through it, which we did. But I can't help but feel like, how many sessions did we miss all those quality efforts, or how much time did we actually, not waste, but just how much time was it, spent?
Occupied, building up the confidence and getting back to that point that we only probably really got to.
Like a month or so out,
maybe?
maybe?
4-6 weeks out from racing.
Yeah.
And kind of what makes it hard for the both of us as well is that we will never know.
No.
And we obviously can't go back and change it now, but we'll never know what could have been, and that's where it hurts the most, I think. Yeah,
it hurts. Yeah, it does hurt the most. And it's something we're never going to, like I said, it's something we're never going to be able to change. We're never going to know any different. All we can do is look to the future, look ahead of, what will come ahead of us and what we decide to do and how we move forward. But it's something that will probably always play in our mind. And then another area where I have struggled with personally too is just, I guess, feelings of, like, I don't want to say guilt is not the right word, but just feeling of shame, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the right word is, but just with the nature of the selection for us getting selected and the limited spots that we had required or had qualified, we were taking medalists only. We were the only bike that didn't medal out of the team. We left medals at home. It's like I just feel bad for those athletes that didn't get to go to compete. And it's like, we shouldn't be in a position like that where we're leaving people at home that can medal. We should be qualifying more spots. And I feel terrible for them, but then I also feel guilty because we didn't get a result. If it was like they should have been there maybe instead of us, like, which is not a good thought to have. And I probably shouldn't have that thought, but it's just the way my brain goes, is that, like, because I've been in that position, I've been on the other side of that in the past, and it's not a nice feeling. So I kind of sympathise with those that have missed out, and it's shit, it's terrible, but that's the thoughts that are going through my head, and like, it's just a lot to kind of work through as well, especially because that's the thing that the trip was built around, was the race itself. And as much as the whole, if I take a second to kind of step outside and look at the whole entire experience, the whole experience was fantastic and it was great. But then that one thing, which is the most important thing, kind of can distort views of everything about the whole entire trip as well. And it's stuff that I will work through and will get past in time, but it's just the things that are just going through my mind in this moment, which is why, again, I said at the very beginning, it's important we kind of discuss these things, because I don't want to sit here and kind of play it off as like, yeah, everything's sweet and all good and national record and this and great and PB fantastic. Like, yes, that is true, but then there's also, these are the other things that are going on in my head simultaneously at the same time, and it's just this conflicting, like, wave and battle of, like, good thoughts and negative thoughts, and just trying to work through all that and not let it kind of get to a point of just wallowing in self-pity, which is not what I want. I don't want any self-pity at all. I don't want people to kind of just be like, I am fine, I'll be okay, and I always will be, but it's just, I don't want sympathy. It's just, I'm just speaking the truth and what's going on in my head to kind of just share that with people too, so they kind of understand what goes on in people's heads.
I don't know about you, but those thoughts were like, they were present pre-racing as well, but it was important to kind of keep them at bay. Like, for me, I found that...
Which thoughts?
The thoughts around, like, are we deserving of this spot? That they were present, but it was important for us to not let them win. And for me, like, post racing is kind of when they were most present, because you're no longer keeping it at bay, and I guess it's almost confirmed not getting the medal, which was the target for us. And for me, I've done a lot of work in the last couple of weeks to try and not let those thoughts win and still be able to enjoy this experience that was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and And for me, I think I did quite a good job of not letting them win. And I guess that's where contrasting emotions for the both of us are, is that like maybe I haven't fully processed that yet myself, because I was trying to keep it at bay to be able to try and still enjoy the experience. But I guess that's been the challenge in itself, is that those thoughts kind of were present in a way pre-racing, and I kind of kept them at bay to be able to still execute on what we needed to do.
Yeah.
But then post-racing is when they definitely were there some more. How do you feel around that?
Yeah, I probably didn't have as much as them pre-racing. I think it definitely came more post for me. I think leading into pre-racing was like we had done what was required, looking at the results from other bikes that had gone to Worlds, that like it all lined up and looked like, yes, no, this is the right decision. But then it wasn't until after the fact, when we've seen how the results play out, the times that the bikes rode, which again is not stuff that we can control, that's out of our, we're never going to know what they're going to do, because in saying that, the time that won wasn't as fast as what I was expecting. It's like the times that got the medals, the times that I know that we're capable of doing, but again, because it was been so long in between us actually having done a performance at that level in those conditions, it's like there was that level of unknown. So to me, that was the stuff that I wasn't sure of. And I think like the first ride we went out and rode that time, and everything we've been doing in training lately leading into Paris, we'd been going better in second and third efforts. So for me, I was kind of like, well, like if we've done that now, we go out and go faster again. We've got more here. And I kind of knew that the Germans would go a little bit slower in the qualifying ride. I was like, okay, well, if we can go under a minute here, like we are in the mix. But the fact that it kind of went the other way, which is the way it has gone in the past, where we do go a little bit slower in that second ride, that was kind of a bit of a harder pill to swallow as well. It was like the expectation I had in my head was even greater than what we actually did. So then it kind of, when it went the other way, it just made that slide even more. And then those thoughts kind of like came in a bit stronger, I guess.
I guess like with all the challenges that we've had leading in on the prep, like after the qualifying ride, I just felt this like overwhelming sense of relief, and like a massive weight was off my shoulders because of having not done it at racing since December. We didn't. It was all of those unknowns coming in that when we had that evidence after the qualifying ride, like, I just had this overwhelming weight of relief, and I was like super excited for the final.
Oh yeah,
and like I was absolutely buzzing for it, going, well, if we've done that now, under all of those circumstances and with the weight of the world on us, like what can we do in the final? And then, like you say, the final to then follow the same trajectory as what it has done in the past, and still a fast ride, right? Like still a good ride, but just not enough for inevitably what we wanted, which was a medal, was super tough. But it was a really interesting experience for me, was managing those emotions after the qualifying that I wasn't expecting, because I've lived in that emotion for the last 6 months, building towards the race, that you almost don't realize how much weight and how much pressure is on a moment like that.
Like I don't think it can be understated just how much the last few months have been stressful as well. Like even that few week period, like leading in to us departing, was just the stress there that was involved, and like, you broken ribs, punctured lung, like just working through that, then getting back to training, getting back to fitness, and then having to work through all the steering stuff on the bike and this confidence and stuff. That was between like both of us doing that, like you being comfortable with me on the bike and me being comfortable just in general, like working through all those trust things whilst training at the high level, knowing that, well, actually we didn't know at the time, was like having this uncertainty of like, we don't actually know if we're going. So it's like, it's just all these things that, people that watch the Olympics and Paralympics, they just see the finished polished product at the end of the day. They don't actually ever see and understand the journey that's gone on from day dot behind the scenes, which again is part of the reason of doing this too, is kind of bring people along and kind of just, again, have conversations like this where we can share our thoughts and feelings, that you can kind of get a bit of an insight and scope as to actually what does go on. But I think we kind of probably did underplay that massively.
100%. Yeah.
Just because you have to, because if we were talking down on ourselves all the time, we probably wouldn't even made it in the first place or done what we did. So I think, to look back on that now and think, okay, we've worked through that. we are back, we are at that level, we can do it, you know, moving forward, okay, everything starts to get better, and we're back on that path of, you know, the snowball effect in terms of trajectory, in terms of confidence and all those things. It's just a shame that it went the way that it did for the biggest competition that comes around once every 4 years. And it's, I guess that's the stuff that's probably a little bit frustrating for myself as well around just the way that things played out at Worlds, is that it just doesn't get considered and taken into consideration the impact that has on athletes and the ramification from that as well. And the knock-on effect and the psychological effect of the things that we have to work through when it comes to performing at a high level. It's like, it probably did have a very big, well, it did have a big impact on us, but, you know, we got through it, we survived, we come to the other side of it, we live with the result, we move forward. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Everyone that I've spoken to have said, like, oh, we didn't know about what impact your bike equipment has on your racing. Oh, we didn't know what impact the crash had on you and Luke post-racing, and what you would have gone through to be able to get back to that point. And I'm like you said, like, yeah, that makes total sense, because we're not seeing it from the rooftops about any of the challenges that we're going through. We're turning up to training and going, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, like, and then even, you know, when we discuss it post-racing too now, it's like, I don't want it to come across as like a built-in excuse, because that's not what it is. It's just talking honestly, because again, if we had have done it prior, then it's, again, we're putting that into our heads, we're putting it out into the world. We're kind of already building in an excuse that if it doesn't go the way we plan, it's like, oh, well, see, we kind of told you so. It's like, it's this weird, you know, balancing point of trying to be honest and open, but then also not kind of come across the wrong way with that, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what's really cool about the back catalogue of videos that we've got on our journey, is that there's probably going to be a lot of people watching this episode today, watching this for the first time, as obviously it's just post-Paralympics. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on us and what we've done. But take a moment to go back and look at the journey we've been on through season 1 and season 2 to get to this point. It's been truly special, and I think that over time that's what you and I will become super proud of.
Yeah,
the journey that we've been on to make it to this point.
And I am very proud of the journey we've been on, and I think that was still there from the moment we crossed the finish line to the moment we realised we got 4th place. Like, that was most definitely there, because, you know, as I've said in interviews leading into the games too, like, the day that you walked into the lab at Waste, like, I still remember that. I still remember when you came back in the second time around and your body had, like, transformed into a cyclist and into an athlete, and the progression we've gone on. Like, I still remember all those things, and I think as time passes from this too, I will continue to remember and reflect on that and think of the journey that we've been on and how special that has been. And I think that's the most important thing. It still just stings a little bit in this period right now where it's still fresh, which is totally fine, and that is totally normal, but it doesn't take away from what we've done, because, again, it's not the end. It's just another chapter, another story of the journey. Hence, you know, season 2, season 3, who knows what that looks like, but, like, it's just another layout, another element to the story that, you know, when the next result inevitably comes, that sensation of joy is going to be even greater because of the challenge we've faced and overcame. You know, I've made videos on this, I've written poems, or whatever you want to call it, about it. Like, it's just another layer. It's just another layer to that. And I think, yeah, there's a lot to be proud of. Like, the time that we did is very quick. You know, we are capable of going sub-minute. Like, there are so many other things that are possible between this too. Like, there is a lot of exciting things, but it's just the initial emotion right now over the last couple of weeks is, it's that, you know, you remember the good stuff and the things we've overcome, and then you kind of think, okay, well, what could have been, or what if? And, you know, that's not to say that, like, a medal should or shouldn't change the way that you feel about everything too, but it's kind of, that's just what the metric was put on us, that is the expectation of why you are here. So when you fall short of that, it just compounds that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Those feelings. But I guess, yeah, aside from that, how was your Paris experience? How was the Paralympic experience for you? How was everything from, you know, in the track hotel to the village to just Team Australia and the whole lot of it? How was that for you?
I guess I came into the Paralympics with, and same as yourself, with no expectations, because I'd never been on a team before. So I didn't know what to expect, and obviously being at Worlds was a very different experience for me. But I am just so grateful to have been able to experience something as incredible as the Paris Paralympics. A lot of athletes that were in Tokyo weren't afforded that right to be able to experience the team and the team bonding that was associated with being at the staging camp, in the track hotel, and then in the village as well. It was a super special experience, and for me, like, the bond and the vibe that was in Team Australia was just unmatched. Obviously, I haven't been in any other team, so I can't talk for them, but it felt like it was unmatched. And I think that was super special, was knowing that you had 159 other athletes that were backing you to perform at your best, and then everyone back home as well, friends, family, everyone who's come along for our journey as well, all of you as the viewer as well, to know that you were all behind us was super special. And there was so many once in a lifetime opportunities for me every single day. And it's only really now that I'm back home and back in my home environment where things are starting to settle a little bit, where I'm truly starting to be appreciative. My brother Chad always said to me, stop and smell the roses along the way through the whole experience. And that I did, even leading into racing. I'm really proud of the way that I handled myself in being able to, amongst all of that pressure that we've just spoken about, be able to stop and enjoy the moments. I think that you and I together as a team, we brought an incredible vibe to the cycling team as a whole as well, even through staging and through track hotel. And it's something that we have a high standard on in the daily training environment, and something that we took across to Paris, and I'm super proud of that. And for me, I think after experiencing that and some of the lifetime friendships that I've made, and kind of knowing how much this sport has changed my life, it's going to make me even hungry for more once I've had a little bit of a break and a little bit of a holiday. And for me, the memory for me is always going to be contrasting between Bordeaux, the staging camp, and the Paris hotel as one component of the trip, and then the village being the second part of the trip, where it was just party time, baby. Have a good time and enjoy every moment, because we didn't have any competition to think about. We were just slamming chalky muffins like you wouldn't believe in the village. It was such a great time. But for me, it'll be an interesting memory, because it's contrasting between being super dialed in around racing and then the complete opposite end of that in the village. And only you'll really know the true other side of that. But how were you feeling, mate? How was your experience as a whole?
I share a similar sentiment with you in terms of, like, I would break the trip down into like two parts, in terms of like Bordeaux and then the Paris track hotel, and then the village is like two separate parts of the trip. And like Bordeaux was great. I think the bond and the team morale and the camaraderie that was built between the cycling program, the athletes, staff, coaches, like I think that was fantastic, and that was a great way to bring in the Paris experience, the results of the team as well. Like, I know I sit here and have said that, it doesn't feel good that we didn't come away with a result, but I am so proud of the team and the results, and to be part of that team and seeing everybody else achieve what they set out to do. Like, I find a lot of joy in that as well. And like, I'm, Corey getting the win and M getting a win as well. It's just like that, there's some fantastic memories seeing them come back and embracing with them and sharing that moment with them. And, the, like, us playing cards every night in Paris in the hotel with the crew, like, those are some memories that will stay with us for a long time. And the atmosphere and the vibe at the velodrome was insane. And I'm so glad that that's the way that the Paris space and Paris sports have gone. Is it sellout crowds? You went to this track and field one night, the stadium in Paris, and it was like 75,000 people. Like,
electric.
That's what para athletes deserve, and I'm so grateful that that's the way that it has gone and played out. Like, the French crowd were absolutely insane. The noise inside of the velodrome was ridiculous. Like, when the French were on the track and competing, it was just deafening. But it was awe-inspiring as well. And I think, we did take a moment before the kilo final. Like, we stopped and they had like a light show and DJ playing, and like, we were there for all the other days when they had the light shows on before the first session, but we hadn't actually been there for like the light show for the finals, which is a completely different like completely different thing. We kind of stopped and took a moment, took the phones out and kind of recorded it and just actually embraced it before going out. So it just shows how we were still able to kind of enjoy and take in the moment whilst being in a high performance setting and situation. And those are the things I would definitely remember. And I think it was a fantastic trip. And then getting into the village, like, it was a unique experience. It's definitely different. Like, it is cool, but I would say that it's not optimized for high performance at all. So I'm kind of glad that we had two clear, distinct differences between like performance time, and then we can kind of relax a little bit. But yeah, it was a great experience and it was fantastic. And I would almost say for me that the best part of the trip was the first part of the trip. Then once I kind of got into the village, I feel like my time kind of shifted a little bit more in terms of just my emotions, because again, I was dealing with the race results. There's a few other things that kind of went on, and just, yeah, I definitely struggled a bit more through that back part of the week, and I kind of really wanted to get home by the end of it. So I'm very glad and grateful to be back now. But again, that doesn't necessarily take away from the whole experience itself. Like, it was still fantastic. It was great. I definitely will look forward to the next one whenever that arises. And like, it is fantastic. But yeah, probably some slightly polar, I guess, experiences to you, because I know you were definitely living it up, and I was very glad to see you doing that.
Giving it a big nudge, that's for sure.
Giving it a nudge. But we both found our switch off time through that period too. And for the record, the muffin was as good as what people say it was. Like, it was damn good.
I came in thinking it was going to be so overhyped, and it was more like a cake, but real cakey muffin.
It was good. But then the trick that I kind of found to do as well was there was like these little chocolate mousse pudding things as well. So like, I was putting that on top of the chocolate muffin. So like, probably going a little bit overboard, but it was
bloody unreal. You got to do it, mate. We've been so dialed in for however many months of hard dieting to get to the point that we got to, and we've got to enjoy it now. But needless to say, we've come back to Perth, and I just got a big bag of spinach, and I'm getting around my leafy greens and some nice lean meats and things like that. Still have a few nice bits and pieces, but
yeah, of course.
I'm feeling so good after getting back and having a few days of normality now.
Yeah.
I was not in a good way on that plane getting home. I was busted, but yeah.
No, it's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, we can switch off. We can take in everything. We can enjoy it all. I don't know. Is there much else to discuss from the trip? Like, it was pretty cool being in the Australian embassy overlooking the Eiffel Tower.
Like I said, there was so many index moments in that trip, that so many special memories. Like,
you gave a great speech that night too, by the way, as well. Like, that was a very powerful speech you gave.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I came into the embassy that night and I got a pat on the shoulder and saying that I was going to be on a Q&A in front of probably 100 people, and I was immediately anxiety levels 12 out of 10. but that's all right. I think it's important to be uncomfortable in those sort of situations, and I think it meant that I was proud, and it meant that I wanted to get the message across that I did. I spoke about the impact that the able-bodied athletes that are in the para space have on the para program. I said that there are 160 Australian athletes that were selected to compete at the Paralympics, 152 with physical impairments. So there's 8 incredible able-bodied athletes that make these sports possible, and our sport's one of them, tandem cycling. So to you, Luke, and then Caitlin Ward as well, that pilots the other tandem, and obviously all the other sports as well, but specifically for cycling. Without you guys, our sport doesn't exist, and I think it's really important that we recognise that at the highest level, to be able to continue and keep that trajectory towards LA.
Yeah, and yeah, I said it then, I'll say it again. Like, I really appreciate that. Like, yeah, the words that you said that night in the embassy were very, very special, and like, I'm very grateful for that too. And yeah, like, thank you. Like, I do appreciate that a lot.
Thank you, mate. And I think it's important that we do recognise it as well, because like the impact that this sport has had on my life since coming into it in 2020 is profound. Like, only I really know where I was in that time during 2020, and I decided that I would take on these new challenges during 2020 as I needed to make a change. I could see that the trajectory that I was on wasn't positive, and the opportunity came up to come in and test that day, like you said at the start of the episode, to come in and test and give it a crack, and it's completely transformed my life, and I'm the man that I am sitting in front of this camera today because of the platform that you've given me to be able to do what I've done. So I'm truly proud of that and appreciative of that as well.
No, thanks, mate. Yeah, to see the journey you've been on is incredible, and I'm just a small part of it, and I'm very proud to have played a role in that and continue to play a role in it. And yeah, it's great. Which again, that comes back to the point at the beginning of like just the journey we've been on. It is a very special one. It's a very unique, special thing that we have between the two of us, the journey we've been on, how it kind of all started, and to get to the ultimate goal that we set out to do from day one. Like the day you walked in the lab, that was the goal. The goal was, well, then the goal was to get to Tokyo, but that was me being a bit, overly ambitious that we can get to the games.
You got to be ambitious though, don't you?
Yeah, but, we did it. Like, in the end of it, we did it. Like, it took 4 years of hard work, setbacks, a lot of shit, a lot of things getting thrown in our face and not going our way and all that stuff. And again, only we will truly know that, and those close to us will truly know the things that have gone on. But in the end, we did it. We got there, and that's something to be truly grateful for and proud of. And in time, we will reflect on that and look back and be like, damn, that was a good part of our life. That medal would have just been that little icing on top of the cake. But again, I will say it's not over yet. Like the story's still being written, and I think it's been a fantastic journey. It will continue. I feel there's not much more else.
Yeah, so I guess I
don't know if there's anything you want to talk about.
Thanks to you all for being along for this journey. It's been super special. It's been a therapeutic experience for the both of us as well, to be able to come and get our thoughts across, even times where we haven't wanted to speak in front of the camera. We've been true to you as the viewer, knowing that we're accountable to doing what we set out to do back at the start. So thank you for being along for the journey, and who knows what's next for the both of us. We're going to go back to the drawing board, and who knows what season 3 is going to look like, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
no,
I think that's a nice little place to wrap it up there, unless you've got anything else to add.
No, that's like, thank you for joining and doing this with me as well. Like I just pitched this idea to you, and something I wanted to do for myself, and like you were willing to be part of it, so thank you for that as well. And I hope that it has played a bit of a role in terms of your media
100%.
Media training.
Yeah, well, you said at the embassy, you said these last 20 episodes that we've done have set you up for this moment. I was like, well, now there's pressure.
But like, thank you for doing this. I want to be part of it as well. Like, it's like, I appreciate that massively. And thank you for the viewers as well for watching as well and supporting, and the messages we have received from family, friends, and just people in general that do watch these videos as well. Like, it is nice, and it is heartwarming to know that we do have an impact on a few people, which is that's just a bonus. But at the end of the day, I do this for us to kind of have this and look back on and reflect on where we're at. And again, hence why it's important that we do sit and speak honestly, because again, it's a moment in time. It's how we feel. It's not how we will always feel. We will look back on this and have different feelings and sensations. But again, if what we say resonates with any other athletes or anyone else in general, then again, that's a positive that I see from us being open and honest. And so thank you for that. But yeah, for now, a much earned big break, rest, lots of food, and just enjoy what's to come. Season 3, who knows what that looks like and when that comes, but it will come at some point. Who knows, I might even make some cooking videos in between to kind of pass the time a little bit.
Burger shop reviews or something like that.
Burger shop reviews or something. But yeah, I'll still keep making stuff, and I know that you will still keep making stuff on your socials and stuff and all that. But yeah, we will be back for season 3. I don't know when. Stay tuned to find out. And I guess it's not, I don't want to say it's the beginning, but it's just another chapter in the journey of the two of us, and there's still big things ahead, still big goals ahead. And yeah, just wait for that moment that we do what we want to do, and the profound speech that comes out of us will be absolutely incredible, I reckon.
Unreal.
All right.
Thanks for the whole experience.
Thank you. All right.
Bang. That's it.
It was a long one.
Yeah, it was good. It's good.
Good job.
How long is the question? Oh, it's 20 to 10.
Is it?
Yeah.